I'm Dr. Joseph Reed, and I want to give you some insight about what it really takes to be effective as a manager. If you are a manager, you've probably learned that it's one of those things that looks pretty easy from the outside, but can actually turn out to be really difficult to do when you try it for real. Managers have to perform a number of different functions. They have to play a variety of different roles. It's an active, even proactive process that requires a number of different qualities, skills, and abilities. What do you think it takes to be effective as a manager? Now, you probably think of qualities like, well, managers need to be effective communicators. They need to be organized. They need to be good delegators. They're all great answers, but let me give you another way of thinking about this. I want to give you a formula for management effectiveness, an equation to help you understand what really separates the most effective managers from all of the others. Let's call it the management effectiveness formula. And all of those are true. They're all great answers. But let me give you a different way of thinking about this. I want to give you a formula for management effectiveness. ME, which stands for management effectiveness, is a function of TS plus QT plus IM, all of which get multiplied by that variable on the outside, MS. Okay, maybe this equation will be a little more useful if I define the variables for you. Variable number one, TS, stands for technical skill. And all I mean by technical skill is the job-specific knowledge and information that's required to perform the work that the person's doing. Now, for some types of positions, the technical skills are very apparent. An IT manager might benefit from having knowledge about a particular operating system or the ability to write a particular type of programming language. But every job has technical skills. The barista around the corner at Starbucks has technical skills, job-specific knowledge. So variable number one, TS, technical skill. Variable number two, QT, stands for quality of thinking. Quality of thinking is about how well you take in, process information, and ultimately make good decisions. Part of the quality of your thinking is going to be affected by your intellectual horsepower, IQ. It's hardwired. And we all know people who seem to have a lot of horses under their proverbial hoods. They seem to have a depth and a breadth of knowledge. They're able to take in information, process it, synthesize it, think quickly, make intuitive leaps. They're insightful. But there's more to quality of thinking than just intellectual horsepower. Critical thinking has an impact as well. And critical thinking involves a number of different skills. You have to be able to clearly define an issue. You have to be able to look at your beliefs and assumptions and distinguish those beliefs and assumptions from the true facts in the situation. You have to be able to establish ideas and alternatives and possible strategies to help solve problems. You have to be able to assess and evaluate those options and, following that linear progression, reach a well-formed decision. Now, the interesting thing about critical thinking skills versus intellectual horsepower is that all of those activities can be learned, developed, and improved with the right type of practice. So variable number two, quality of thinking. Variable number three, IM, stands for Interpersonal Mastery. Simply put, how do you relate to other people? Can you build rapport and create connections between yourself and others? Are you able to establish some type of emotional affinity? How well do you communicate? Do you get your ideas across clearly? Are you able to feel and demonstrate empathy? And following all of those, are you able to influence people in the direction that you want? All of those are important for creating positive work relationships. Now, the three variables I've talked about so far, technical skill, quality of thinking, interpersonal mastery, are all important, but according to the research, they're not all equally important. Technical skills seem to be important for credibility. They may actually, in some ways, be a prerequisite for effective management, but technical skills on their own don't equate with managerial success. As a matter of fact, an over-reliance on technical skill can lead to management dysfunction. It can take a manager away from the things that have to be done to be effective as a manager. So think of technical skill as your ticket to the dance. It gets you in the door, but it does not ensure that you're going to have a good time at that dance. Quality of thinking matters as well. Certainly the quality of our decisions affects much of what we do, but most of what makes management isn't about the cognitive and the analytical. It's about the relationships that we have with people and the behaviors that we demonstrate to develop those relationships. Interpersonal mastery is probably the most important of the three additive variables. Management is, after all, getting the right things done through and with other people. And interpersonal mastery is the skill that enables a manager to build trust, to communicate clear expectations and direction, to provide feedback, to reinforce good performance, and to coach employees to make improvements in their skills and hopefully, ultimately, their performance. But there is another variable that we haven't talked about yet. It's that variable on the outside. It sits on the outside of the parentheses, and it affects all three of the additive variables. It's a multiplier. Variable number 4 is MS, which stands for mindset. And mindset reflects our internal state, the emotions, the attitudes, the beliefs, the paradigms that we hold that may be hidden beneath the surface to one degree or another. Those emotions and attitudes and beliefs directly affect our interaction with others. In many ways, they drive our behaviors, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. Now, people often approach the idea of mindset as if they have no control over what it is. It just is what it is. But mindset doesn't have to be that way. We can become aware of, and we can take more control of our attitude and emotions. The more conscious we become of our mindset, the more control we gain over our reactions and behaviors. And the more control over our reactions and behaviors, the more adaptable and resilient we become. The variables I've just described in the effectiveness equation aren't static and fixed sums. You can do something about them. You can learn new skills. You can gain insight into your style and preferences. You can develop self-knowledge and control that will allow you to increase your behavioral and emotional flexibility. So regardless of where you're at in your management career, you can become a more effective manager.